Okay, here we go. It's time for the actual, real, true, proper final boss of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. And if you hadn't guessed yet, I mean, considering how many things of Rising there are out there right now, I'm sure you should know. The final boss is Armstrong himself. Because, yeah, he's not your standard, senator, let's put it that way. Dude, you might wanna just not do your Kamehameha, if you will. I don't think you've quite got the lungs to do that, mate. Sorry. You're close, though.
Let's go. The hell are you thinking?
Yep, he's stupidly strong.
Played college ball, you know. That's a cushy Ivy League school.
Oh dear. And there goes Raiden's visor. Wonderful! Now, I have an ever so slight problem with Armstrong as a villain. Basically, I think it's just because there didn't feel like much of a build-up towards him being here. So, like, he appeared in that one cutscene in Chapter 2, and then kind of... and he then appears here afterwards, and I don't know, didn't really feel that bothered about just killing him, but, Now, I do quite like the whole "don't fuck with this senator" line, largely because I'm pretty sure that's an ever so slight, not very subtle reference to Bayonetta, with it's "don't fuck with a witch," which is still one of my favourite lines in a game ever. That thing is just beautiful. So, you can't actually really do much at this point in the battle. You've just got to try and whittle him down a bit, / survive. There are ways to get through this phase a lot quicker, but I honestly cannot remember them for the life of me. I believe you need to get hit by that attack like twice or something, or just get lose all your health. It builds up eventually.
Nice.
And there goes our sword. Wonderful. Now, one thing that I haven't really talked about in this playthrough, nor will I cover, is the fact that there's 2 DLC chapters. One in which you play as Blade Wolf, and one in which you play as Jetstream Sam. I would like to cover them at some point, but I haven't got them, so gonna need to cover that issue first. But Armstrong here is actually the final boss of the Jetstream Sam DLC, so he is there for 2 of them. The slimy sod.
If America's gone to shit, you're just another maggot crawling in the pile. Alright, the truth then.
Okay, out with it.
You're right about one thing. I do need capital and votes.
Well, that's generally how things work. What?
That one day,
Dude,
every person in this nation will control their
don't start
own
quoting
destiny.
Martin Luther King at me, mate.
A land of
Because
the truly free, damn it.
that's not gonna make me trust you anymore.
Words ruled by strength,
Because, especially when you're the villain, evidently the villain as well.
Other way around. Where power and justice are back where they belong. In the hands of the people. Where every man is free.
Now, what Armstrong is kind of suggesting is an interesting society. Obviously, there's a level of honour behind it, because I mean, some of the way society is right now is terrible. But it's going along a bit too much of an anarchistic society, which would not work because the weak would fail, really.
We need to pull it out by the roots. Wipe the slate clean. Burn it down!
Don't you just love cutscenes in which the hero gets beaten to an absolute pulp? Especially before the final boss as well. It seems to be a slightly running trend in certain games.
And the strongest will thrive. Free to live as they see fit. They'll make America great again!
Armstrong, you seem to be forgetting something that Monsoon was going on about. As in, who protects the weak from the man who protects the weak? You've got to protect the weak. That's kind of how it works.
So I can end war as a business.
Yeah, he's really going along the really awkward thing of I'm going to stop this thing by doing exactly the same thing.
Not for what they're told is right. Every man will be free to fight his own wars.
The best example that I can really use to kind of show what's kind of wrong with that is that so Zack Snyder made Sucker Punch, which, as some of you may know, was quite heavily lambasted for being sexist and all of that lot. The way I see that film, and I think what Snyder may have stated about the film, is that it's a comment on sexism in action films and in Hollywood films, but he's making a comment on that by doing the same thing, and people people tend to miss the point when you do that. People are just like, well, you're just making a sexist film, or in Armstrong's case, well, you're still using war as business. And it's a really awkward thing. I think it's kind of too cockway. Two wrongs don't make a right. I hope I've got that correctly. It's a long time since I had the lesson at school in which we learnt that term and how it was used. Yes. You, sir, are absolutely batshit insane. And the thing that I love about this particular kind of cutscene is that there are a couple of quotes that I actually managed to preempt Raiden saying. I don't know why. One of them was, "You're batshit insane," and one of them's coming a little bit later. And I guess it's just because this particular cutscene in general is very, very cliched, and that's good. I like this cliche. It's just fun. And the other thing that one thing that I know quite a few people like is that the story goes from being quite serious to completely ridiculous. It kind of does the opposite to what a lot of people say of Bayonetta, which starts off really silly and then gets quite serious towards the end. And some people don't like that. I prefer Bayonetta's ending, if I'm honest. Because it's very easy to go from silly to serious but still make it all work, where it's a lot harder to go from serious to silly. I think Metal Gear Rising manages to pull it off just right. It manages to pull off silly after coming from serious reasonably well. And yes, basically after you've gotten beaten down a bit, you get to do this quick time event, which looks absolutely hilarious when you go really slowly. Obviously you're meant to really hammer that X button. If you do it really slowly, then you just got Raiden, particularly on this next event, quick time event, you just got to really, Raiden does it really slowly, and Armstrong kind of reacts really slowly as well, and it's just hilarious. But it's quite epic when you do it properly, so we're doing that. And considering how many Platinum games I've played at this point, I'm really used to mashing those buttons.
Why won't you die?
Here's one of the most infamous lines from Metal Gear Rising.
Nanomachine, son.
There it is.
They harden in response to physical trauma.
People really love that line. Like, really ridiculously love that line.
Hurt me, Jack.
Oh, trust me, mate. We can hurt you.
What did I just say?
And we're going to hurt you. We're going to hurt you hard.
Time to end this.
Dude. Okay, that's a bit better if you're wanting to actually kill him. The other ones weren't really being that effective, if I'm honest. And there we go. The stage is set for the final boss battle.
Right. I think we're about done here.
We've just got a little else to get through before we can actually fight. And I really love this little strain of I'm my own master now, it's beautiful.
2 years I've been working towards this. And on the last day, Blondie has me downing the whole thing. We'll leave it up to fate then, shall we, Wolfie? A duel to the death. May the best man win.
Sam.
I cut him down, and that's that. Back to a regularly scheduled international incident. But if he beats me, if I die here, the lock on my blade will disable after a couple hours. What happens after that is up to you, Wolfie.
Ha! Even dead, that guy's a pain in my ass. So... you think that little sword can save your master? Well, go ahead then. But make no mistake, Fido. When I'm finished with him, you're next.
I was not designed to fear termination.
Huh?
However, Directive 01 is to ensure all data acquired is preserved and passed along. To expire here would violate that directive.
That's a good boy.
However, Raiden came to my aid. I have learned from him. When Samuel fell, data analysis was inconclusive. But that has changed. I have established new parameters now, created my own directives.
I said my sword was a tool of justice.
And here's the next line that I preempted.
Not used for vengeance. But now I'm not so sure. And besides,
this isn't my sword. Let's do this, Armstrong. We've had the build-up, and now it is time to fight.
Okay. Let's dance.
And now we get one of my favourite fight songs in the game. It's maybe a little bit overrated to some, but it's absolutely amazing. This is It Has to Be This Way, and the vocals are done by Jimmy Necco. And just, my god, this song is epic. Whether you like this fight or not, this song makes you want to continue through it. It's that good. Like, if I'm honest, this fight frustrates me, because I fail miserably at the blade mode fight usage in it. And as you may have figured, this took me a good few tries to get where I did. But just, I mean, it's just an amazing final boss. And the lyrics are just fantastic as well. When our guard is down, I think we'll both agree that violence breeds violence, but in the end it has to be this way. That's just awesome. Now, that's what you're meant to do with the quick time events. You're meant to kind of move Raiden and slice the debris as it comes. Because at this point you're meant to have learned how to use blade mode effectively, so that you can actually, you know, angle things properly and stuff. But I'm terrible at that stuff. And the fact that I literally, it was only after many tries of kind of being like, oh, I can't remember how to use blade mode anymore, that I managed to get it finally. I did a lot worse when I first beat the game, and I was so annoyed at this fight when I first played, because I just failed at blade mode. But that's not to say that this is a bad boss fight. This is actually a pretty damn good boss fight, and really fun as well. Largely because of the song. Definitely because of the song. But still. It brings everything that you should have learned together, and that's a very good thing for a final boss fight to do. It's also really epic. Yeah, your best bet of doing this is by using the right stick to do the free blade modes to get the correct angles. But if you screw up, you're going to get hit, and they do hurt a lot. And generally what happens is if you fail one, then he'll go immediately back up and do another one, and it's like, for gosh sake, man. There are also a few attacks that Armstrong will do in which he will knock away your sword, and then you need to get your sword. And it's very important that you get your sword, because you can't really do very well without it. Also, whenever he goes into that the black phase with the glowy green thing that is back, hit that, not him, if you want to actually get him damaged and not regenerate his health, because that's what he's doing at that point. But he's nearly dead, and the game will be over. When he gets down to really low health, he's going to do one last debris fling. And this is the most difficult of all of them. I mean, pretty much, he does about 3 in the entire fight if you manage it effectively. And now that that's done, we've just got to do the final QuickTime event of the entire game. And this is going to be epic! Now don't worry, that is going to happen. You are going to get hit by that. And you wouldn't be hit by that. Because this is how you beat him. And we get lots of blade modes at once now, which is just awesome! And even though we are going to get to do a few more blade mode attacks on Armstrong, Armstrong's actually the third boss fight that we finish by not using blade mode, funnily enough. Now pretty much you can just kind of slash away, and we're done here. Armstrong is defeated. And the game is won! Yes! Success!
Well done, Jack. Your dream dies with you. Oh, maybe not. You've guaranteed the status quo will go on. For a while longer, at least. War will continue as an institution, as an industry. Men will fight for reasons they don't understand. Causes they don't believe in. But at least I'll leave a worthy successor. You, Jack.
I think your logic is slightly flawed, Armstrong.
Use whatever methods you see fit. You don't let legal bullshit get in the way. And if it costs a few lives, so be it.
There are elements that are similar between you two, but, yeah. You're not the same. In any way, shape, or form.
Deep inside, we're kindred spirits. You and I.
I'd say, considering his heart had just been smushed, I'm surprised he lived long enough to say that. But, oh well. Here's our final combat result, and a B that pretty much says everything about how my run of Metal Gear Rising went. It was only a B rank. It was very, very average. And I do apologise for that. I'm just not that amazing at this game, unfortunately.
President Hamilton returns from Pakistan today, completing his first visit to the country since the
And so now it's time to see the ending and enjoy the nice, peaceful thing that has taken over now, which is really good.
U.S. Marines will be stationed in Pakistan and given wider authority to conduct operations within the country. This is amidst growing tensions within Pakistan between the country's civil and military leadership, with many in the government calling on the ISI military intelligence agency to be investigated.
Unbelievable. After all that.
For the last time, let it go, Courtney. At least Armstrong will never be president.
But, I mean, Raiden.
It's not known whether that number would include private military contractors, which the Hamilton administration has made clear will play a significant role.
There he is.
I have to say, I'm loving Courtney's mug. That thing is amazing.
Approved. The new corporation is established.
Nice work, Doc. I guess the world's first cyborg staffing firm is officially open for business.
We are certified for construction and long-term nursing care, but this is just the beginning. The potential for new roles cyborgs can play is limitless.
And we're sure this isn't child labor?
The older children can work now, the rest when they come of age. And it's strictly voluntary, you know.
We're not running a charity here, huh? Donations alone would not even cover their maintenance. Besides, this way they'll learn a trade. Perhaps some discipline, huh?
It's not a perfect solution. But you know what? At least these kids will get a decent education.
Well, I'm not about to return them to the streets or to broken homes. At least we can give them a chance, huh? Oh, oops.
An imperfect solution for an imperfect world.
Well, another benefit. A peaceful application for all my research.
Since when do you care?
Well, recent events have been food for thought, shall we say?
No kidding.
Speaking of recent events, how's our new recruit working out?
Ah, yes, quite well. Quite well.
Oi, Sunny!
Oh,
Hang on.
it's so sweet.
1 second.
Yeah,
Sonny and
you make me
George are working together. It's like, oh, I really like this particular bit of the ending. It's just really sweet.
You're genius, girl.
Indeed, she is.
And you're hot for days.
Huh? Where did that come from?
Alert. Alert. Rescinded.
This about a crazy world, nah? For me see that ninja, me never think I've been this kind of life.
Yeah.
Huh?
He rescued me too, you know. Saved my life. I owe him everything. To some people, he'll always be Jack the Ripper. I know all about his past. He had it rough. And he hurt a lot of people. But that's not the Raiden I know. The Raiden I know is a hero.
And with that, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is at an end. Before I do any sort of signing off, just got to cover the song that's used in the credits here. The song right here is The War Still Rages Within, and it's sung by Graham Cornies. Now, the song itself is kind of really slow and quite quiet in relation to all of the other songs in the entire game. But it's really kind of metaphor-filled, and it's all about the journey to the end of the game, and the fact that it's just all there, but it's ultimately uplifting, because it's all about not surrendering, and there's always still hope, despite the fact that the battle continues, and it's really good. I do wish the song was a little bit more up-tempo, really. Because I always like my kind of big celebratory credit sequences, see Bayonetta, The Wonderful 101, the Super Mario Galaxy games. I mean, even Kingdom Hearts is slightly more upbeat than this, and I just prefer that kind of style of credits, but still. So, I should probably cover my thoughts of Rising, not that I haven't done enough of that already. I really do love Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. It's a really, really fun game. Whether it's objectively better than other games that Platinum Games have made is totally up to taste, really. I personally would argue that Bayonetta is the superior title, because it's both longer, the combat is more in-depth, and it flows better. But that doesn't discount everything that Metal Gear Rising is. It's really fun, and it's really well put together. And even though the main story is quite short, there is a pretty reasonable amount of content, because there's all the VR missions that you can unlock that you've got to find in the levels, and then you can do them. You've got all the different difficulty levels. One thing that I don't think I ever mentioned is basically after you've beaten hard mode, you unlock Revengeance mode, and I believe you only unlock hard mode after beating normal mode. However, if you put in the Konami code at the start screen, you can unlock everything immediately, so that's a nice fun thing you can do if you want to try out Revengeance mode without preparing yourself beforehand. And yeah, so there is a decent amount of stuff to do, and then the fact that there are the 2 DLC chapters that you can do if you would like. And I think that's really cool, because one thing that Platinum Games don't do, generally, is DLC. So to have that there is just quite nice, and means that you get more out of this game. And I think a lot of people are having fun with the PC version after the initial DRM bug confusion thing that occurred. That was messy when that happened, but I think people are having fun with that, because you can have more things on screen and all sorts, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when it starts to get properly modded. If it hasn't already, I haven't really looked, if I'm honest. But, yeah. Metal Gear Rising is just a really good game, and I mean, that soundtrack, my god. More games need to have that dynamic music thing. I mean, you had it in the most recent SSX game, but I think this does it a bit better. In the sense of, it actually fits with the gameplay. It does it in SSX as well, but SSX was boring in comparison to earlier titles in that series, so it's not a very good thing to be comparing it to, because the music here is brilliantly done. It really is. If you're going to praise Metal Gear Rising for anything, it has to be that soundtrack. I mean, I don't think I've ever quite come across a video game soundtrack that has led to so many people loving it to pieces. Especially with lyrics. Video game fans liking songs with lyrics is always a difficult thing to do, so the fact that there's so many songs in here that people really like is brilliant, really. Especially Rules of Nature. Rules of Nature, I'm a master now, The Only Thing I Know for Real, Stranger I Remain, and It Has to Be This Way are kind of like the ones that I personally think are the best. The other ones, they're slightly lesser quality, if I'm honest, but it's just brilliant. Also the fact that Rules of Nature goes with everything. If you want to see proof, just type in Rules of Nature goes with everything. It's pretty much the same as Guile's theme and so on and so forth. But it seriously does go with everything. It's ridiculous. And I really love that that's the case. Because there hasn't really... Well, I don't think there has been a video game song since Guile's theme that has gone with everything. So that it's taken from then until the release of Rising for that to happen is insane. And I think I have pretty much successfully talked over the entirety of the credits, so I hope this doesn't get claimed, because money and so on and so forth, totally selling out and all, you know. Yes, that is the end of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. We have a nice little stinger cutscene coming up right now, and I will leave you with that. Thank you all very, very much for watching the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance playthrough. Join me in the next part for the extras that I've got to cover. And also I hope you join me in the next playthrough/walkthrough, which will be starting very soon. So, I will see you then. Thanks for watching, bye!
Well, you cost them a lot of money, huh? Not to mention killing their funding. Literally. The break-taking program is finished, but the larger company is not, I'm afraid. Someone will buy them. PMCs are in demand once again.
Yeah. Fighting for reasons they don't understand. Causes they don't believe in.
Beg pardon?
No. Nothing.
So, your mind is made? You will not come back.
Sorry, Boris.
I understand. But then, what will you do?
I've got my own war to fight.